So though who has missed last two session, since we have started by Spark from the beginning, I just want to summarize session 1 and session 2 at a high level. And next 10 minutes is going to discuss one of the important topic in Spark. Okay. And another 5 to 10 minutes, we'll try to take a questions. In our first session, we discussed what exactly the Spark. Okay. Spark is a in-memory distributed data processing framework or engine that we already discussed. Okay. And next topic that we discussed in first session is features of Spark, right? Anyone ask you question that why should we use Spark, right? Then that time we have to explain features of Spark. Okay. So these are the few features that we discussed during our first session. I want to walk through it. If I miss something, then going forward, we'll try to update this list. No need to worry. But as of now, please go through this, like in-memory computation, fault tolerance, lazy evolution, and it is an open source. Since it is an open source, it is a cost-effective, and it supports multiple languages to write the code, and also it supports batch-oriented and near real-time data streaming. Uh, Applications, and you can have a future of reusability of the code and scalability and JVM. Okay, it has a very rich built-in library support, and when we write a code in Python or Scala with Spark, then it is almost 20 to 25 lines of code we can reduce as compared to Java. Okay, obviously 100 times faster in memory and 10 times faster in a disk. Okay, and we can integrate with many tools like all ETL tools, majority of the ETL tools, Bigdata ETL tools, I can say. Also, uh, we can use underlying storage system as a cloud as well as NoSQL databases, and then Hadoop as well. Okay, these are the very, very important features of a Spark. I just briefed you, and going forward, when we discuss each and every topic individually, then we come to know more clarity. Okay, no need to worry if you are not able to understand as of now. Okay, and if you go to the next topic, that components, core components Spark, we discussed with this diagram. If you see, Spark engine is using cluster manager as a Yarn, Mesos, and Kubernetes. Please try to note down. Spark engine is also have its own Spark alone cluster manager. We can say, even if you don't want to use any cluster manager shown here, Spark can able to work on standalone. Okay, we'll see what exactly the standalone, and of course it may use, as I told you, HDFS or S3 or Azure or GCC or Cassandra file system. As we discussed as part of features, then it supports as of now 4 languages: Scala, Python, and Java, and R. And main features or main components are Spark SQL, Spark Streaming, mlib, and graphics. As a big data engineer, for especially batch-oriented applications or projects, generally people use Spark SQL. Okay, for data science related, then mlib and graphics will be used, and for streaming application, Spark Streaming will be used. Okay, so you no need to worry if you are good at only Spark Core and Spark SQL. That's enough for an interview purpose. And if you know Spark Streaming and others, it will add a benefit to your resume, right? And this is about the core components of Spark that we discussed during session 1. And yeah, prerequisites, right? It is quite easy that any one language we should aware to learn Spark. Okay, and distributed file system also we supposed to know. Okay, and DSL, that is domain specific language, or SQL must be mandatory. Okay, and of course some basic shell scripts always is good to know, that you know very well, right? And the next is I didn't discuss this Spark installation. here I don't want to discuss, same whatever is available in a YouTube, right? I found one of the video is very impressive uh, to install PySpark in our Windows machine. So I thought to share with you so that it will be useful for you as well. Okay. So enter this document I'm going to share in a G drive. Okay, under notes, under Spark folder. Okay, you can refer and take a advantage out of it. Okay, you just copy and paste this link in a YouTube. You will redirect to respective installation video. Okay, I'm not promoting that channel, but still I found it is a very useful. I don't want to repeat, same procedure and duplicate the data or duplicate the content. All right. So it saves your time and my time. So better you approach that video and try to do installation if you are not done it. Right. It's very easy. You come to know when you watch that video, and come to day 2, we discussed on Spark architecture. Okay. Spark architecture is very, very important. Definitely you will get a question. If I'm the interviewer, definitely I will touch this Spark architecture, because it is very important. As a developer, we come to know, or we should know what exactly the Spark architecture, how it will happen when we submit any Spark job, right? So that is the reason we should aware it. Okay. And before we discuss Spark architecture at high level, I already walked through what exactly is the worker node. And worker node is nothing but a virtual machine, okay, in our cluster, right? So take this as a one mission. In that mission, we may have several executors. Executors is a concept of Spark. Okay, we are giving some virtual name. This is not a physical. What is a physical? Physical is, we can say, the node, whatever we are discussing, or cores or memory, okay, or hard disk. These are all physical, but we are giving one naming, that is a executor. Okay, what executor will do? It will execute our task, whatever we assign. That means we means driver assigns. Okay, so this is the internal architecture how typically worker node have inside when we submit any application. Okay, so container is already, as I said, it is a group of configurations. That means a number of cores and amount of memory, and if we run in a disk, then that is also considered. All right. And I explain in detail what is on heap memory, what is off heap memory, and everything about this diagram. You please watch my session 2 video, and you come to know what exactly it is. Whoever is missed, I'm saying to go through that video. Whoever is already attended, then you might have a quite knowledge on it. All right. So this is a little, I can say, prerequisite to know what exactly is the Spark architecture. All right. And now we will move into the Spark actual architecture. And I want to add one more point to go actually main topic. What exactly internally happen when we submit any Spark application. So what driver will do is, whenever we submit any Spark application, okay, it will divide that entire code or application into subjobs. Okay, here I just represented only 2, but in real time maybe more. Okay, so it will divide into subjobs. Again, subjobs will be divided as a stages, and again the stages divided into tasks. Okay, just try to understand at high level. When we are going to execute any program, then we will see practically. Okay, as of now, just keep this point in your mind. Okay, simply Spark application will be divided into further steps like subjobs, stages, and then task. Okay, this is the responsibility of Spark driver. Will do all these processes. Okay, and coming to core concept. Okay, Spark architecture. As part of Spark architecture, this is the diagram which got from Spark official documentation. Okay, so what will happen when we submit a Spark application in cluster mode or client mode? I note down the points which I summarized in my previous video, and I'm presenting you again. Okay, when a user submits Spark application in a cluster mode, then Spark will launch a driver inside the cluster on any one of the data node. Okay, if you see this application or this diagram, okay, Spark launched the driver inside the cluster. Since let us assume this is a cluster, whatever I drawn rectangular. Let's assume this is a cluster. Inside the cluster, this you can assume this as a data node. Okay, so when I ask question, somebody has replied me that Spark framework will launch driver in name node. That is wrong. Okay, Spark won't launch driver in name node. Spark will launch driver in data node. Okay, so Spark will launch a driver inside the cluster on a data node. Okay, if it is in cluster mode, I mentioned cluster mode node. In client mode, driver will create outside of the cluster. Obviously, in our wherever you are submitting application, that I can call it as a client node or edge node. Okay, you just Google it what exactly the edge node, or you just go to my previous videos which was uploaded. Then you come to know what exactly is the edge node or gateway node. Okay, meaning of that, right? This is the first step. Okay, simple is when we submit an application, it will create a driver program inside the cluster and any of the data node. Okay, next point. Then what driver will do? Immediately driver will create SparkContext. Okay, and a separate JVM. Here, SparkContext is belongs to belongs to 1x version. Okay, but still people are talking about SparkContext. But from 2.x onwards, people are calling as SparkSession. Okay, so driver will create SparkContext or SparkSession and a separate JVM in driver or in data node. Okay, where driver resides, right? Then third, so once SparkContext created or SparkSession created, it will connect to the cluster manager and try to get the resources. Resources here is nothing but a executors from a resource manager. Resource manager is a master or processor in cluster manager. Okay, so resource manager will allocate resources to the to the driver to execute the task. Then SparkContext acquires the number of executors. That immediately those number of executors will be registered with driver, right? Then only driver come to know, right, how many executors are working, something like that. So immediately all the executor whoever assigned for this application will be registered with driver. Okay, that is the third step. And the fourth step is, see, the third step is mainly handled by SparkContext, right? But meanwhile, what driver will do, driver will convert user code, whatever we submit a code, right? It will convert that code into logical DAG, and then based on that, it will create a physical DAG. Based on this lineage or directed acyclic graph, it will finally create a task. If you remember previous slides, I told you, right? First of all, finally it will create task. So this is how it will create. Don't worry about what logical DAG or what physical DAG. We'll see when we try to execute a real-time program. Okay, right? So obviously, if you think this is little hard to understand, then complete this is in one single step or sentence. Driver will create a task. That's it. That is a simple step, right? And fifth step, as and when driver creates a task, number of tasks, then SparkContext sends all tasks to the executors, right? Then what driver will do? Driver will distribute all the tasks and schedule the task for execution on the executors, right? This is the fifth step. Final step is sixth step. What will happen? Driver will keep the track of all the executor running status and get the result from them, right? Once execution completes, then that result will move to driver, right? And next is, on successful completion of all the tasks, executor will unregistered with driver. That's how it ends. So hope you understand this architecture part by this time, and we'll move to actual topic, and we'll discuss. This is again one of the important question. You are, if you are experienced attending interviews, definitely you would have face this question. Okay, what exactly the Spark session versus Spark context? Why should we use Spark session nowadays? Okay, so let's have a small discussion on this so that you will get a clarity. So see, if you see this diagram, okay, earlier we used to have these three. Okay, Spark context, under Spark context there is a Hive context, under Hive context there is a SQL context. Okay, so finally now when Spark introduced 2.x onwards, then all are inbuilt of Spark session. All right. So if you read this text here, prior to 2.0 version of Spark, Spark context is an entry point to Spark programming with RDD and to connect Spark cluster. Right? This we already discussed. One of the important point of Spark context is to connect a Spark cluster, get the resources. Okay, that is one of the important, and also it will work. We can use Spark context to create an RDD. Okay, but after 2.0 version onwards, Spark session has been introduced and became an entry point to start a programming. Okay, and then prior to 2.0 version of the Spark, before the creation of Spark context, we used to create SparkConf, right? I think if you are experienced guy or learning Spark from 1x version onwards, then definitely you would have this clarity. We used to create SparkConf first, then we'll create a Spark context on top of it, right? Now we no need to create that, right? So prior to 2.0 version of Spark, we have to use distinct context for each API, as discussed in a diagram. We required, Spark, for streaming application, we supposed to create Spark a streaming context. Okay, and for batch oriented, we supposed to create Spark SQL context. And then if we are trying to work with Hive, we have to create Hive context. So individually, we supposed to create, when we were using Spark 1x version, right? But in 2.0 version onwards, Spark provides a common entry point for Spark application. Instead of creating Spark context, Hive context, SQL context, everything is now inbuilt in Spark application or Spark session, right? So if anybody is asking what exactly the difference between Spark context and Spark session, you can explain these points. I think they will satisfy. Right, guys? So I will take your questions shortly. Don't worry. Let me just finish it within a few minutes. So then, how to create a Spark session? Okay. So in real time, right, we have to use editors to create these programs, and we won't use directly command prompt for execution of real-time jobs. We will use jar files or .py files to execute real-time application, Spark application. So in that time, Spark session is not inbuilt. Okay, we have to create an object. That is, object is nothing but a Spark out of SparkSession. Okay, how to create an object out of SparkSession? This is the syntax. Okay, this syntax I took from Spark official documentation. Okay, we have to create explicitly Spark object to process Spark cluster. Okay, so this is the syntax to write a program, to create a Spark object, right? This is syntax for PySpark, and if it is Scala, then simply add val. Okay, val Spark. You won't see much difference, right? So here we can also mention master. Okay, what is exactly is the master? A master is nothing but a cluster manager. You can say yarn or mesos or Kubernetes or local. Okay, you can set it. So that step we didn't include it. If when you are practicing, you come to know, right? So what happens in a shell? Okay, a shell we will see typically like this diagram, right? If you see, SparkSession is available as a Spark. Okay, so it will create SparkSession will be created for us ready-madely whenever we use command prompt. All right. So Spark is an object of SparkSession, as I said, right? Earlier we used to use SE, that is SparkContext, right? Now we are using Spark in place of SparkSession. Okay, Spark word, you can use any word because SparkSession we won't change it, but Spark is an object of SparkSession class. You can name it whatever you want, but at standard practice, you should use. It is highly recommended to use only Spark so that it won't create any confusion. Okay, when you debug or somebody will come and see your code, or to maintain some standard of code writing, then people will use Spark word as a Spark object when they are going to create explicitly from SparkSession. Okay, guys. Yeah, that's it for today. Okay, so I'm open for question for a few minutes. If you have any questions so far, I will try to answer. If you don't have any questions so far, you can ask me any other question which is belongs to big data.
Hello. Yes, this is Nagababu. Yeah, I have a small doubt. Like in some cases, while creating the Spark session, they are using master also as a property. What exactly the use case of that master? I don't
See,
know. In
yeah,
that.
that's what I was saying. Here I didn't
Hmm,
mention master, but if you see second
hmm,
screenshot, that is from command prompt,
hmm.
Spark context available as SE, and in the bracket master is equal local star, right?
Yes.
So master is nothing but a who drives our application. We can say in real time it is a we have to mention Spark cluster name, but when we practice it, generally we won't use yarn as a Spark cluster or Spark manager, a cluster manager. Okay, yarn is a cluster manager. So
Hmm.
if you won't mention anything, Spark will automatically assign total number of
Yes.
cores for our program to execute it, right? To execute any
Yes.
program or application, we need resources, right? We need a cores, right? So here star is
Yes.
nothing but a number of cores. Okay, either you can mention 1 or 2 or 4 if number of cores are available in your mission. All right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And one more thing, extension to this question. I mean, master equal to local. I mean, a number also we can give as you said.
Hmm.
And instead of local, is there any other properties also should be there or what?
No, see, that's what I'm saying. If you're
Uh,
practicing in your mission only for development, then you can use that. But in real time, right? In place of
uh,
that, we're supposed to use cluster manager name. That is Yarn or Mesos or Kubernetes, right?
yes.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah. Yeah. Guys, please
One
don't.
question they are asking,
Yeah.
like, what is the difference between Spark Session and Spark Context?
That's what I explained, right? Since last 10 minutes, I explained. You can explain these steps. Okay. You
Yeah,
explain.
only this thing, or like other than this, can we explain any other things?
You tell me. See, these are the core. Why this Spark session came into the picture is because of this. Okay, and I already told you what is the need of Spark context or Spark session is mainly to work with a cluster or to work with the Spark APIs, right? That is ODD is a data frame, data set, and to connect cluster. Okay, this is the importance of the Spark context or Spark session. But it is all about 1x version versus 2x version. Okay, they won't ask you deeper other than this, and there is no text to explain more than this, right? If you are able to find, that is your wish, but this is the core concept of beyond. Okay.
Yeah, okay, thank you.
Yeah. See, I got a question from chat. In real time, where we will write the PySpark code. Okay, in PyCharm or Edge server. I didn't understand what is Edge server, but yeah, Edge server is a kind of Edge node that I think you are saying, but that Edge nodes are only submission of Spark application. Okay, you can write a code in a PyCharm and create a jar. Okay, or you can write your Python, I mean, in .py file and just give the path of that file whenever you are submitting a Spark application. We will see in a practical demo on it. You no need to worry. If this is not clear so far, you will see practical. Okay, we definitely use Python file for execution. Okay. Anything else? Yeah.
Naresh,
Yeah.
Hemasundar here. I'm new to this PySpark and big data environment.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, any your guidance or something where to start, and at least I mean, can you guide me? I mean, at least where to start. See, as of now, I'm also parallelly starting the PySpark related things.
Okay, I think hope you already have some knowledge and I mean, if you are experienced in a previous tools, then you know what exactly you want to learn. Better you follow our YouTube channel, and also if you find any other YouTube channel, it is more useful. That also you can follow. Okay, nothing is tough to learn Spark, but thing is your dedication and time. Okay, and finding the right material is very important. Okay, just follow our YouTube channel and try to join our classes. You will get a fair idea, I can say, right?
Okay.
Yeah, hi Naresh. Another question. In 2 interviews, I got the same question. So he's asking me to read a data frame, a file he is giving, but he want to write it 5 records in one file, 5 records in another file, 15 records in another file, and another 10 records in another file. So how the way that we can achieve it?
See, there is a function, you know, you mean, let us say in your input file, you have 100 records, then output, they want 100 by 5, right? In each file?
No, he's not. He don't want to parallelly distribute it. He want like particular files, like 5, 5, 15, 20, like that. Random figures he's saying.
If you are good at Python, then you can write a loop and open that file and read, but it is inside the one function. Okay, there is a pre-built function, I know, but I'm not sure whether that function will put first files in one file and second file lines of records in one other file. I'm not sure about it, but there is a pre-built or you can say inbuilt function in Spark, that is max number of files, max records per file.
Mac records for file, that I know that we can
right?
give parallelly only.
Okay, I didn't practice it, but I know that it will divide based on the numbers that we give. But coming to your question, I think we have to use loops by using Python code and create a function, right? You create a function and run inside the Spark. Okay, take it. Okay. This is an assignment and try it. If not, once we complete these sessions, right, theoretical sessions and all, and we'll try to take this kind of use cases and try to practice it. Okay.
Okay. Sure.
Yeah. But that is a good question. Yeah. Guys, I think we have 2 minutes left. If you don't have any question.
Okay, another question is like they may ask what is the configuration of your cluster node. So in real time, like how can we say what is the configurations of our cluster node?
Can you please go through my detailed video on this? Especially I created a video to help many people because that is expected question. You just watch it our previous, just go through 6 months back, I think so. But I have a separate video. Okay, very short video. It will resolve many of your questions. Okay, that is not a theoretical explanation completely. That is a practical. I explain out of my practical experience. Okay.
Okay.
All right, guys.
Yeah. Hi, Naresh.
Yeah.
Hi,
last question. Yeah.
Yeah. Actually, so currently I'm working for one of the banks. So, do you have any real-time use case for the banking project?
Guys, I'm also like you. I'm just working in one of the company, and I know knowledge on my projects, but not other projects, right? So that is at least new for me as well. Okay, so we have to create our own, right? Okay, sorry for that. Okay, guys, I think that's it for today's. We don't have much time, only 30 seconds left. I hope this session is useful for you. When we upload any video, right, try to like and share in your circuit so that many people get advantage. That is only one request. Okay, thank you. Have a nice weekend.
Thank you. Same to you. Bye.
Yeah.